Okay, I want to show you a few little tricks that should help you with your scoring and so you can visualize and count things a little bit better. So you see here, this is what your study looks like when you open it, and it doesn't matter which study, but notice I'm on Epic 1 here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize what I can see on my screen. So to do that, I'm going to come down here and click on this little arrow, and then I can have a bigger screen. The next thing I'm going to do is we always start with stage scoring. So to stage score, I can do it this way, but for people just starting, a lot of times it's easier to start in just the stage view. So to do that, have your cursor anywhere on your screen, and you're going to right click. When you do that, this box appears, and you're going to go and hover over montage. When you do this, you see you have options here, full, stage, and respiratory. If you go ahead and click on stage, and then just click anywhere outside of those boxes, and that'll make that box disappear. Now you can just see your stage or your EE and EEG, EOG, chin, and EKG. Okay, so notice this is much easier to see. A couple things I want to point out. You have red dotted line to red dotted line. The distance between those two is 75 microvolts. And if you recall, we use that when we're identifying delta waves. From peak to peak, so coming over here to this waveform right here, from this peak to this peak of that wave, if it goes beyond this, these two red dotted lines, that is larger than 75 microvolts. It's bigger than that. So technically, this waveform right here is a delta wave. Now, this peak to its peak down here, again, this goes way out of this one, not quite on this one, so it would not qualify as a delta wave. Okay. Next thing, you have your measurement tool. So right here, it looks like this maybe is a spindle. So if I want to measure it, I put my cursor right at the start of it, push down my left mouse key, and then drag, and it'll measure it. If you remember, a spindle has to be more than half a second. So that would be a spindle. Let's go over here. Here, this looks like a K-complex. We have a negative deflection followed by a positive deflection. But in order for it to be a K-complex, it has to be greater than a half a second. So again, let's use our measurement tool. And from the start to the end, it is greater than half a second. It's 0.61 seconds, so it's greater than half a second. Okay, so let's say you want to count the waves of something because you're not sure how many hertz it is. So maybe this area right here, you're like, what is this? Is this low amplitude mixed frequency or what? So to do that, you're going to hold down your left mouse button, and then you're going to outline a square of the area you want to blow up. And then when you release the mouse, it blows it up. And so now, from dotted green line to dotted green line is 1 second. So you'd be able to count these waves and identify how many hertz this is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 waves per second, or 8 hertz is what that 1 second there is. Now, we don't go through and count every single second on our epics, but when you're in question of something, you can zoom in to count it if you need to. Times when I think that might come in helpful is to identify spindles, and that's really probably the only time I would use it. Remember, alpha waves we look for in our occipital channel. That is our very first step in scoring any epic. First thing you do, look at your occipital channel. Are there alpha waves? If there are not alpha waves, then you go on to considering if it's stage 1. Stage 1, I should have rolling eye movements and low amplitude mixed frequency EEG. If I do have low amplitude mixed frequency EEG, that doesn't always mean that it's stage 1, because the next thing I need to do is see if there are any K-complexes or spindles. If those are present, then I need to go through the rules for stage 2 and see if it really is stage 2. So remember, we always start by ruling out if it's awake or not. Then you rule out if it is or is not stage 1. Then you rule out if it is or is not stage 2. Then you rule out if it is or is not delta or N3, and then REM. So for awake, we look at the occipital channel for alpha waves. For stage 1, we look for rolling eye movements, low amplitude, mixed frequency. You might also see vertex sharps in stage 1. Stage 2, you should have your spindles and K complexes. Okay, and remember, for stage 2, you want to follow those rules in order. Okay, if it's stage N3, you have to have 20% or 6 seconds of that epoch needs to be made up of delta waves, and that's big waves like this big guy over here. Okay, and then if we're looking for REM, we're looking at the eyes for rapid eye movements. We're looking at the chin for a quiet chin, and then the EEG should be low amplitude mixed frequencies without spindles and without K complexes. Okay, that's a quick little tips on stage scoring and using this software.